Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial where I talk you through making a postcard. My name is Soofiya, there's me, hello, and that's my name. You can find out more about me and my work. I'm a visual artist and design educator. That means I do a lot of art making, but I also do a lot of teaching and tutorials like this. This is my website. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll leave that there. Today we're making some postcards, and particularly postcards for Trans Day of Visibility. And that's going to be the overall theme that's going to tie this together. And I'm going to talk you through ways you can approach your postcard making. But I'd like you to take about 10 minutes at least out of your day and just spend it making. You can take more than that. I mean, I think ideally an hour, just an hour of making and creating. But kind of see how you get on, and I'm going to talk you through very easy ways you can kind of make and create. So I'm going to leave this here so you can remember, and I'll recap on at the end of the video on how you can share and post your postcards. So this project is coordinated by Attenborough Arts, Attenborough Arts Centre, the University of Leicester's Public Arts Centre. And it aims to help people get involved with Trans Day of Remembrance in spite of how difficult things are in lockdown. And I'm sure you folks have been going through a hell of a 12 months, and I think this is a nice moment to kind of take a moment to reflect on that. So to start off with, you want to take your postcard. So I've got my postcard. I've got an A6 sized one. I also did cut myself an A5 postcard, which is double the size. But I think I'm going to go for the A6 one because I think that feels right and it's a bit smaller and easier to post. So have a look at your blank postcard, and that's what I want you to start with. I'm just using a bit of coloured paper for mine, but you have the template. And for this, I want you to be thinking of kind of themes, themes of connection and community. And that's what I want you to kind of communicate on that postcard and communicate visually. Think about what materials you might want to use. I've got just a selection of felt tips and kind of marker pens that I had around me. I've also gone for some prick stick and a pair of scissors, and I think I keep like a scrapbook thing of scrap paper, and I sometimes like cut things out of this if I want to just bring a bit of colour into it, so I might use this too. There's no limit to what you can do, and it can be quite simple. You can just use a pen and pencil to write, or you can collage if you don't feel confident in necessarily illustration. But let's just see how you get on. So I think we can dive straight in. So for this first part, let's take your card and let's think about a message that you might want to communicate. Now, I'm going to start off with something typographic. I'm going to pull out my pencils. I've got a pencil here, and I'm going to think about what message I want to write in the middle, and think about things of connection and community and communication. Think about those words and what those words mean to you. And I think I'm going to write something like a little message. What you might want to do is, maybe on a scrap bit of paper, is try doing some sketches. So you could draw out your card and you could think about sketching. So maybe I'm going to write, "You are not alone." Maybe that could go in the middle and I could have some collage bits around it. Maybe, yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm just sketching. I'm using, these are called thumbnail sketches. And when you're sort of doing the design process, I do a lot of these quick thumbnail sketches. And they're a great way of getting out ideas because you're not starting to design immediately. You're kind of thinking through things. And they're very quick and a really good use of your time because it's not like you're going to dive straight in and then make something and it's like, oh, I'm not happy with this. So this is a really great way of just getting your ideas out there. I'm thinking about these circles and maybe ways of connecting these circles because I'm thinking about connection and community. Maybe I'm going to do a circle in a circle, and maybe we are here because it's all about visibility as well, so I'm thinking about what it means to be visible. Okay, so I've got my initial sketches, and I quite like this abstract one, but I also like this typographic one. Maybe I'm going to do a mixture of both. So take a minute or two and just think about your sketches. You can take your time, you can pause this video at any point and then start it back up again. So in pencil, I'm just going to do the type, and I'm going to go over this, I think, in maybe black. You are not, and then alone. And I can see here there's 1, 2, 3 letter O's. So maybe I'm going to use these O's to connect to other kind of overly O shapes. And that's going to be me communicating connection. You could illustrate something, you could illustrate your favourite food, favourite animal. It could just be a really lovely thing you want to send to someone. I'm trying to think about where to connect these. Okay. You could do a still life. Maybe you've got a nice plant or something that you want to illustrate. And it doesn't have to, I think the best thing about illustration is when it doesn't look good and when it doesn't look like a photograph. There's something quite nice about it being a bit hand-drawn and messy. Okay, so now I'm going to think about what I do with this. I want to introduce some colour. So take it step by step. Maybe you've done a sketch, then you've done the pencil drawing, and then you can go over it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my type. And I'm just using a black pen to kind of go over it. I really, really love doing kind of quite playful bubble writing sometimes, and really thinking about letter forms and how you can communicate something with them. So think about the letters you're drawing and how you're drawing them. Can you do something a bit more playful? Okay, so now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it needs, I've got some glitter paper here. How can you be visible without glitter? So I think what I might do is I might spend some time and I'm going to cut out these little circles out of this glitter paper, and then I'm going to stick them on. So I'm going to just take a minute to do that. Well, I'm going to take longer than a minute, but it'll be a second for you. So I've stuck all the circles that I've cut out down, and you can see it's really coming together. I was thinking it sort of reminds me of like stars and like a constellation. I'm just going to turn it around because there were some that I did an overhang on, so I can just trim them off, because I sort of want this to feel like it's filling the whole page and bursting off it. You could leave these, and that could just be the style of your postcard, but I'm just going to trim these for mine. I'm just going to use a pair of scissors. And now I'm thinking about these lines. Like, I could leave them in pencil, but I think I want to sort of bring them out a little bit more. I've got all these little offcuts, I might use them for something from the glitter paper. So I'm thinking about maybe this like dark blue, and because I've got this bit of paper, I'm just going to test out what it looks like. I'm just going to match it up next to this, and I think that looks okay. I've also got this greeny one, and I think it's always good to make swatches and test while you're making and designing. So I always like to keep a scrap bit of paper near me, and I can just test out pens, I can test out kind of cutting things and how they look stuck on. So my big tip is making sure that you have something on the side that you can just test stuff on. I also have this neon one. I don't know how, this one's running out a bit, so I don't think this one's going to be a good one. Okay, maybe I can use a combination of the two because I like the way those two colours look on this coloured card. And I'm going to start connecting these lines. And I was thinking about community and connection for this. So I've got these two bits connected here. And I want to make sure I connect all of these circles to each other in some way, shape or form. You can also then go back in and rub out the pencil lines. That's another thing to think about. I'm going to connect these two. What I like about this pen, it comes with a thick nib and a thin nib, and I'm going to use the thin one. And you can use whatever materials you have at home. It doesn't have to be fancy pens. I love, one of the things I really love drawing and doing typography with this biro. There's something really nice about the way a biro smells. Maybe this one to here. And I might do some coming off the page in a similar way I did those going off the page. And I've put a scrap sheet of paper down so I can draw over and it doesn't go on my work surface. So thinking about what you would like to receive if you got a postcard, what message, what would you like to send? This can already help you think about what you're going to put on your postcard. I'm thinking about whether or not I do spend time rubbing out the pencil lines or not. This one isn't connected to anything, so maybe I'm gonna think about what to connect that one to. This one can connect to this one. It's like a weird game of dot to dot. I'm thinking like all of these could be individuals, all of these could be people that are connected to one another, that aren't alone. And I think that's what visibility sometimes means to me. It's about that feeling of not feeling alone. And I'd invite you to think about what visibility means, whether that's enough, whether that's something you want or something you don't want. I have a lot of discussions about invisibility and the privilege of invisibility sometimes. Okay, so I think we're sort of getting there. I might try erasing it. I'm going to be brave today. So you might be able to hear me rooting around in my drawers, and I'm going to go for an eraser. I'm going to try and be brave. So this might shake the whole camera, so if you've got motion sickness, maybe now's the time to skip ahead. I'm only erasing on the lines where I haven't been able to cover them. I mean, I don't mind pencil lines showing through sometimes. It's homemade, it's your voice, and I think it's fine to not be perfect. Okay. And take your time. Like, I think it's such a therapeutic activity to be doing. Like, I spent a good 10 minutes just cutting those circles out, and it was put on some nice music, a bit of lo-fi, and you can really get into this kind of zone of making and creating. I think I'm happy with this one. What I might do is I'll show you how to do one more design. So this is a bit of collage and typography. I might show you how to do an illustration. So you've got an option of two kind of ways you can approach this. So we've done one postcard, which was this one, and now I'm gonna think about another way you could approach this. And I've got lots of these offcuts, so I was thinking maybe I could use some of those in an illustration. I'm not sure if I will, but let's think about doing a still life. So this is landscape, which is quite nice. I think I'm going to do this one portrait, and I'm thinking about growth, care, and ways we show care and things we care about. So those are the kind of themes I'm thinking for this postcard. And what I'm going to do is I love this kind of shiny paper, and what's good about this glitter paper is it doesn't get okay, fine, it's gotten somewhere. It's not everywhere though. It's just, yeah, okay, it gets everywhere. There's no two ways about it. So I'm going to cut out a vase shape, and I'm not really thinking. I'm just drawing this sort of lopsided vase. That looks good. It's not equal. It's kind of a bit abstract, but it's the idea of a vase, right? That's what we're going for. I'm going to put that here, and maybe I'm going to put it here. Think about composition on a page, because now I want you to use your kind of mind's eye and think about how we could draw leaves, whether they're going to come out and squiggle this way, whether they're going to squiggle to the top, and the composition around that. So let's do a little still life, and maybe we can illustrate something inside this vase. So I'm thinking about care and things I care for, and I care for my plants. I don't think I'm very good at keeping plants, but I do care for them. I have a lot of anxiety around them as well. Are they dying? Do they need water? That's preoccupies a lot of my brain space. But there's something quite therapeutic about that sense of care, and if you're a plant, how would you want to be cared for? And I think that's what Trans Day of Visibility is also about. It's about care, community care, self-care, and the kind of dialogue between the two. So I've got my vase, and I'm just going to take, what am I going to take? I'm going to take a different coloured pen. So I'm going to rummage around. You can hear the amount of pens I have. I've gone for like this dark green, and I'm going to do like a squiggle. So you want to be doing a zigzag. So we're using our scrap. There's like a squiggly zigzag, spiky zigzag, and something sort of in between. So you can have them going really deep, like really, really sharp, or you could flatten them out a bit, squish them out, and that's what we're trying to do here. I sort of want to do a soft little zigzag, and another one up here, and another one here. And I'm not really connecting them either, I'm just sort of being a bit abstract with the leaves. And you can see it's not consistent, it's not coherent, but I think that's kind of quite nice, being a bit abstract with them, especially if you don't feel confident with illustrating. Doing a bit of collage and just illustrating some shapes is a really lovely way of creating these kind of abstract illustrations. So I've got this. Maybe I'm going to do another vase here, and I'm thinking about I was gonna use the post-it notes, but maybe I'm not. I have a spare post-it note, and this is where I originally wrote the hashtag, but I then didn't leave enough room for the email address, so I decided not to use it. So I'm going to use it for this actually, and it's a bit scrumpled, but that's okay. I'm going to cut out another vase, slightly different shape this time, and maybe another one. I'm going to see which one I feel like. Now, when you've done your postcards, please do share those designs. You can share them on the hashtag, which is TDOV postcards, and you can also email them as well if you don't want to, and we can put them on the gallery, which is going to be on the Attenborough Arts Centre website. So you can see both yours and everyone else's, like a little online exhibition, especially in lockdown. I really, really miss exhibitions. So I think this is going to be a really lovely version of that. I do like this because it was scrumpled. It's got quite a nice texture to it now, actually. I was going to use blue, but maybe I should use green. I think I'm going to do some circular leaves. So just some circles, and not perfect circles. Notice some are ovals, some are almost pointy. This is a coin plant. And then I'm just doing some lines from that. And because when you look at the coin plant, you never really see a circle flat on. You always see them like kind of at an angle, and they become sort of oval shapes. So that works. And I might do one more vase here. I'm not sure what paper to use. Maybe I'm going to look in here in my scrap paper. And I love this combination of collage and illustration. It's a really lovely, forgiving way of designing. And I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to do a long one, maybe double length. So I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to add this onto here. So you've got something like that, and it's only going to have one stem, one plant leaf. And because it wasn't long enough, I'm just going to take the other half of it and join that on. It's not perfect, but I think that's the kind of beauty of doing something hand-drawn. And I'm only going to put in one stem of something. And I think I'm going to make this a daffodil. They're one of my favourite flowers, and because I've also got some of that yellow post-it note left over, I'm going to make use of that. And I'm going to do a little zigzag. I've just cut sort of, you can sort of see it's a bit of a zigzaggy shape. I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just going to stick that on. There we go. That was the sticky part of the post-it note, so it's stuck on very nicely. That's my daffodil. I might do a little baseline here that looks sort of like a table that way. And I'm going over the top of some of them. And I'm going to draw an outline for the vase. And I'm very consciously offsetting it. So rather than going around it, I'm offsetting it. And it just adds a bit of movement, a bit of dimension. And again, this is a really lovely way of drawing and illustrating. If you're not, I'm not good at drawing. That's my big secret. I'm not good at drawing things that look like the thing they're supposed to. So I find drawing like this is quite nice. It still looks aesthetically pleasing, but it's more about the process, this kind of offsetting, and when things go wrong, it still works. I'm going to do some pattern in the background now, so I'm just going to take my time and finish off some of the illustrations and just add on some details. And pattern was one of the greatest way of bringing something to life, and it's very repetitive. So I'm going to add some nice little dot patterns to the background. So just to wrap up, we've now got two different postcards and two different ways of approaching it. You could do something illustrated, you could do something typographic, and I really encourage you to think about using whatever materials you have to hand. I had some post-it note paper that I made use of, I had some scrap little glitter paper, you could use newsprint, you could use envelopes and to kind of create this collage effect. There's some really kind of playful ways you can approach this. So give it a go yourself, take your time, think about what you want to say, your message. Use this sort of draft scrap paper to do some testing, so get yourself some scrap paper, test colours if you've got them, do some sketches and thumbnail sketches before you start making. And yeah, even if you don't have the postcard pack, you can pretty much use anything, any spare bit of cardboard, any spare bit of paper, and just make it happen. The tutorials just to kind of get you inspired and take your own direction. I really love colour, so don't be afraid to shy away from colour. I think that just brings everything to life immediately. And please do take photos of your postcards and send them to us. And it's the Attenborough Arts Centre, and you can also email at this email address. It will be tagged in the video and in the description as well, and then hashtag TDOV postcards. You can find out more about me. My name is Soofiya, and that's my website. You can find me on Twitter, it's Soofiya with a C, and on Instagram it's just Soofiya. But it's got two O's, an F and an I and a Y and an A. But yeah, thank you for joining me today. It was a really lovely, therapeutic thing to make, and I'm really excited to see your postcards, so please do share them. And yeah, and really take a moment to kind of mark Trans Day of Visibility.